businesses. Time to get this thing popping, man. Let's start with these news stories. Found a couple news stories, like I always do, that are extremely interesting to me, but I want to talk about them with the family, right? So everybody is aware, if you are a basketball fan, even if you may not be a basketball fan, you may be aware of Lavar Ball and his children, LaMelo Ball, Lonzo Ball, LiAngelo Ball. These are his three kids. They've been polarizing figures in this country over the past 4 or 5 years, based on how talented these young brothers are, and really based on how polarizing the father is. All of the outlandish claims he's made, the shoe line and everything that he's tried to create. So I wanted to talk about this story because I'm a big fan of Lamar Ball, regardless of some of the antics, regardless of some of the shit he said that of you like, I don't necessarily agree with that. But the bottom line is, being a man myself who didn't necessarily go about doing things with my kids the way he did. The regimen and things that he put together at such an early time in their life, that speaks volumes to me. The fact that he was just with one woman, whether she's white or not, I don't really give a fuck about that. The fact that he was with one woman and he vowed to kind of put his children in a position to be successful via basketball, that's something that we all should inspire to. Fuck what people say negatively about the brother. I rock with him, right? So let me read a little bit of this to y'all regarding LaMelo being drafted. So Lonzo and LaMelo Ball have made history by becoming the first sibling duo to be selected in the top 3 of the NBA draft. Lonzo was selected as number 2 overall pick in 2017 by the Los Angeles Lakers, and Melo was selected number 3 overall by the Charlotte Hornets in the 2020 draft on Wednesday. Now, of course, like I mentioned, there is 3 Ball brothers total. LiAngelo Ball, I think, plays in the G League right now, so he's not in the NBA. But how great would that will be if ultimately that brother ends up being in the NBA as well, right? So I'm always rooting for him, regardless of what the news has said, regardless of how he's presented himself at times. Overall, I kind of get the message. Now, I wanted to read something else because to me, a lot of executives and a lot of corporate figures fear somebody like him who was coming in the game independent. Regardless of how you feel about the shoes, I heard they were overpriced a little. Well, they were overpriced a little bit. I heard that, people order the shoes and didn't get them. So when we talk about, because I was just speaking about black businesses now, so we can't let the brother off the hook. If you're doing business and people not getting their products, that's something you got to look at. But overall, I appreciate everything he's done for his kids. Overall, I appreciate just the legacy that he's leaving, and this is setting an example to me. Like if more black fathers took on the responsibility, and it may not be just basketball. It could be if your kid is into art, if your kid is into being an engineer, if your kid wants to be a doctor, if your kid wants to be a firefighter, like whatever your child wants to be in life, if you put the kind of passion this brother put behind his children, they're like bound to be successful. So again, it's something that we can all inspire to be. Now, I wanted to read this because in 2007, a Nike executive, because to me, I don't want to make everything about race when I come on my show, right? But I'm not going to ignore the elephant in the room at times. I'm not going to ignore the shit that I see. And I'm of the belief that if LaVar Ball was a white man with 3 white sons, still talking the way he talked, I'm not sure if he would get the backlash, but that's just me. That's just how I feel about it. You feel me? So, for example, a Nike executive, George Raveling, said LaVar was the worst thing that happened to basketball in the last 100 years. What the fuck is that? Come on. The last 100 years, why is that? Because he's coming into the game and this was after LaVar said he wanted a $1 billion shoe deal and an apparel deal for his 3 sons. Now, again, some of his requests, some of how he's phrased things seem kind of outlandish, but are we to ignore how much money these teams, how much money these companies make off of black athletes, right? So if a black father comes in the game and says, nah, look, this is our price, you gonna give it to me, and fuck you if you don't want to. You see what I'm saying? So to me, being that brazen, being that outspoken in America, being a black man, to me, y'all, it's always gonna be some shit with that, regardless of how you regardless of what field you're trying to ingratiate yourself in. It seems like to me, even going back to Muhammad Ali and figures like that, who was real outspoken, right? We got to realize from my opinion, um, throughout history, every black person who's been extremely, let's say they were great at their job or whatever they do, everyone that has been extremely outspoken, the media, white corporations have always frowned on that. And I don't think this LaVar Ball situation was anything different. And ultimately, I support the brother. I salute him for doing what he did with his kids, regardless of how successful those two brothers end up being in the NBA. It's just great to see, and I admire LaVar Ball for being that type of father. Because again, regardless of if you agree with him or not, if all black fathers in our community took the time and the energy and put it into their kids the way he did, some of the shit we see going on with a lot of these young dudes in the streets, we wouldn't see that if you had a man around that can direct your energy. You know what I mean? And even though, again, he put a target on Lonzo's back to a degree, but at the same time, that's one way you can look at it. But the other aspect is, in my opinion, Lonzo didn't have as much pressure because his father was out in front taking all the bullets for him. So he could just be quiet and play basketball, right? So again, I salute LaVar Ball. Hopefully LaMelo will be successful. I wanted all three of them to go to the NBA just so he could have a last laugh type of shit. You know what I mean? And ultimately, LiAngelo, who's in the G League, he may end up going pro. I mean, he may end up in the NBA, and if so, that's great. That's great for our community. So, black fathers, all my fathers out there, look at that as a testament to how we all should be. And again, had a baby with one woman. There's videos of that man working with his kids at 1, 2, 3 years old. Come on now, y'all. That's inspirational if I ever seen it. Shout out to the Ball family. You feel me? Now, let's see here. I'm rolling, man. I'm rolling. Let's get this thing popping. All right, next story.